at any point it looks like the anchor has changed. Mind you, I'm leaning my phone on top of a box of chin chin. After God, be your biggest fan. I think we all need to learn how to stop being our biggest bully. So these are the things we're going to cover in this video. We're going to cover acknowledging truths constructively, not critically, how to navigate bad habits, what would happen if God bullied us, how to use your friends in these kind of situations, how to take care of yourself, and a lot of this will come in the form of anecdotes or story times of my own life. For me, from second year of university, I struggled with the worst kind of negative self-talk like ever. The thoughts that I thought were new in a negative and horrible way. I felt a strong intimidation around friends and people at work. Genuine feeling that I was not worthy enough of friendship and people and even just company in general. I hid myself in my room. I wouldn't come out. I just had this really crippling feeling that why would somebody want me as a friend, or like why would somebody hang out with me? Why would I be worthy to be added to this friend group? Didn't see myself fitting in anywhere. A lot of self-sabotage, and I don't think I had that language at the time, but it was so much of that. I also wouldn't say this was second year. I would say this is actually more since I graduated uni. Had an intimidation surrounding the industry. I was bullying myself a lot, and I still do bully myself about the industry of, when I say the industry, I mean content creation or creativity or just being creative in general. The enemy was telling me that I'm not seen, and that because I've been posting for X amount of years, like if I've not been seen, then it's for a reason, to do with my craft or my ability or just who I am, that I'm not made to be seen, or my work isn't made to be seen, or it just doesn't suit my quota or whatever to like be recognized. And just the idea that like if you've done this for so long, then you should, and it's not been working, then you should just quit now. I would doom scroll as like a way of almost self-sabotaging. Thoughts will come into my mind like, oh, you're lazy, see, like because you're spending time on this app when you could be creating yourself, and I would do it on purpose because it's easy and it is lazy, but I would do it to almost validate my sad emotions. In terms of acknowledging your truths and acknowledging it constructively and not critically, and therefore not bullying yourself, this ties in with how to forgive yourself. One thing I'm doing is considering my truths. Maybe it's not that I'm not pulling my weight, maybe it's that my weight is being spread everywhere else. In other words, being spread too thin. I'm still discerning what it looks like to be working too hard. On one hand, I have God cheering me on to follow my dreams and work hard to get there, because that is kind of, not even kind of, that is the only way to get there. But on the other hand, I'm having him telling me to rest and to chill out, and both can coexist at once. But living that in harmony is very difficult, because there's moments of guilt where you aren't working hard, quote unquote, and you're resting, and it feels like, okay, is this the right time for me to be resting? Should I actually be, working hard? And there's the other side of working really hard, and then you're just like, oh, it's taking a toll on me, on my body physically, on me spiritually, on my time with God, on my mental, on my time with my friends, everywhere. And there's guilt on both sides. And if anybody has a great solution to that, please put it in the comments, because I'm just a girl, and I don't know, of trying to remain, keeping the ball in the middle basically. But I think the more that we ask ourselves questions, the more that we question our feeling in the moment and our emotions, and I feel like the more we will receive the answer that's necessary for that specific context. Repeating that specific context, because every context is so different. I would say also ask yourselves questions in a neutral manner. Jesus did this so much with his disciples. He didn't ask them in a condescending manner. He didn't ask them with a leading question. Like, like in psychology, they teach us this is what you're supposed to do. I don't know if police do this, or it's not just police. I don't know, I can't remember. Psychology was a long time ago, where they're not allowed to ask leading questions, because obviously it insinuates what answer should be given. It's supposed to be a neutral question. And similarly with Jesus, he gives you the chance to basically answer the question. He doesn't ask expecting us to know all of the right things straight away, because he understands our faults and he understands where we fall short. Like, he's not there with his arms like this, like, well, are you going to, shouldn't you have XYZ? He wants to prompt thought in the questions he asks. He doesn't want to create fear or guilt or shame, because that's not from the Lord. He wants us to think for ourselves, because that is part of the gorgeous free will that he's given us. And an example would be in John 8. This is the woman who was caught in adultery, and these men came to Jesus and was like, well, And then Jesus had asked her, he said, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more." Do you see how he lets her answer? Like, he asked her a question. It wasn't rhetorical. He asked her a question. And I feel like, so I don't know, I'm laughing because like I feel like I've been in multiple situations where I feel like God has asked me a rhetorical question and he's just waiting for me to answer. I'm like, oh, like, you want me to say something? Do you not know the answer? Like, no, like, I want you to say something, Angela. I'm like, oh, okay. So I feel like, yeah, anyway, but yeah, you just let her answer, like, even though it's so obvious. Like, he literally asked her, "Where are they?" Well, if we look around, yeah, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Paul is a very, very good example. In 1 Corinthians 15, verses 9 to 11, he refers to himself as the most hardworking among all the disciples, but he still calls himself the least of them all. When he's talking about hardworking, he's talking about him as an evangelist, and when he's talking about least, he's obviously probably, referring to his past life as a killer of Christians. Humility simply means accuracy. The truth is that Paul was being humble in saying that he was the most hardworking of all the apostles because it's the truth. And if you're saying the truth and it's something positive about yourself, then you shouldn't shy away from saying that, because if you are saying anything other than that to try and appear lower, then you are operating under false humility, which is still a version of pride. It's just the opposite side of pride. It's still not accurate. And I think if you know something about yourself, like if you know you're good at something, or you know that you're doing something well, then it's good to acknowledge that while simultaneously understanding where your shortcomings are. Like Paul did say, he's the least of them all, and he humbly said that based on his past life. Forgiving yourself is so important, and it's not a one-time occasion thing. You have to constantly, regularly forgive yourself. And I feel like there was moments in scripture that Paul was speaking to, whether it's the church of Ephesus or the Corinth church, speaking to them, but also I believe speaking to himself. And I think he would remind himself in moment of, yes, his sin, but also Paul is just so articulate in terms of the way that he's describing the actual depth of the cross and what it has actually done for us. I mean he does it in every epistle that he writes. So words are powerful, and what I'm trying to say is the same words that you use to negatively speak against yourself is the same words that you can use to regularly forgive yourself and to heal yourself of past wounds, or wounds that you've actually caused yourself, and apologizing to yourself. Actually, if you was to write out the words that you say to yourself and say it to another person, would you be able to do it? Harsh words that you say to yourself when you've done something wrong, or when you've been late, or when you missed the mark, or when you made a mistake, or when you didn't understand something, simply didn't even understand something, you were just oblivious or ignorant to something. The words that you say to yourself, the sentences that you say, if you was to write that down, would you be able to say it to some of your closest friends? Probably not. And even speaking to this idea of bullying, the question I said I would answer at the beginning was, what would happen if God actually bullied us? And I know it sounds a bit like a weird question, but it's basically just saying, what would happen if God treated you the way that you treat yourself? I wrote here, if God bullied us the way that we do ourselves, we all suffer with severe anxiety daily. It would defeat the meaning of the cross to be all works-based when it's meant to be all grace-based. If you had reason to be anxious every day, it would be because you feel like your works are the only thing that can atone for your wrongdoings. Which doesn't make any sense. That's so set. It's not even the gospel. Like it's finished. That's it. Like it would put too much power in your hands. That's why you cripple, because it'll put too much power in your hands, because your ability to, I guess, come out of that anxiety is based on your own self and your own doing. God uses free will to make us look like him because it's the best formula. We get to choose to become like Christ daily. There's joy in being able to choose to look like him and choose to let go of things like anxiety. God knew the formula was never to be a tyrant or to bully us into perfection. So if this formula didn't work for him, why would it work for us? If the formula of bullying us into perfection didn't work for God, why would we now think in our own ability, strength, capacity, that if we was to bully ourselves into perfection, it would work? And when we do get something wrong, which is back on what I was saying earlier, we bully ourselves and say, why am I not getting it? Not realizing that God never bullied us or put the expectation on us to learn so quickly, or be healed or delivered so quickly. We are spirit, we are flesh. Spiritually, we just don't see so much of what it actually takes to heal from something, especially something that's been around for years, or things that have even been generational, which is why to us it's like, why is this taking so long? But it doesn't mean that God isn't working. In my head I'm like, ugh, I've heard that one before, but it doesn't feel like he's working. But hey, the truth is the truth. Because God knows the full context of when the issue started, when the trauma began, when the habit started, when the cycle began, whatever it is, he knows what you were doing before, he knows what you're doing after, what caused it, everything. That's why he's not there with you saying, Angela, why are you not getting it? Why are you not getting it? Why is she not getting it? Why is he not getting it? That's why he's not saying that. Because he knows what you don't. So we've talked about how to acknowledge your truths constructively, not critically. And then we've spoken about obviously not bullying yourself, forgiving yourself, and why we should, because what would happen if God was to bully us? So these actual bad habits that we are struggling with that are making us bully ourselves, how do we actually navigate overcoming this? And I genuinely think the truth behind this is to continue to throw yourself in the fire, and it's horrible. It's actually horrid. This was not going to be a pretty answer, but I was trying to think to myself, like, what is the step by step? What is the 3-step? What is the 5-step? What is the 7-step? And the reality is, you just have to keep going. Sometimes it can be quite repetitive because you have to get through the pain of experiencing that habit again, just so that you can learn how to basically overcome it better or quicker or easier in some sense. The reality is, breaking a habit that you've been doing for X amount of years is so difficult. When we talk about things like habit trackers, and we talk about just these productive routines that we see people do that feel like habits are broken in 2 days, is so unrealistic. And if you was to really get into the crux of this person's life, you'd realize that even if they were able to do something consistently straight for a week, like a lot of us are able to do something consistently for a week, a month, even 2 months, but sometimes we revert back because 2 months is just not enough to change the cycle of 20 years of doing something. The way to navigate it is to go through it. You have a bad habit and you're honest with yourself about the bad habit, that's already a form of control that you have over it, because you've acknowledged that you have it. The aim is to, each time you have, I don't know, the bad habit of comparing yourself, the bad habit of doom scrolling, the bad habit of searching something you shouldn't be searching, the bad habit of self-sabotaging, the bad habit of nitpicking, lacking kindness, the bad habit of lacking patience, whatever it is, the main thing is to catch on quickly. I'll give an example. Something I'm still trying to work on is fantasizing, maladaptive daydreaming. Back in the day, I actually didn't think fantasies were bad. I genuinely thought fantasizing, a boyfriend kissing, and the Disney Channel, you know, aesthetic, I thought it was fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. My perception was just like, oh yeah, like, this is what it's gonna be like. And then I realized, no, this is not good, because it takes away from what God may want to bring, and also can lead to a ton of disappointment and lustful thoughts. In understanding that, I now have to catch myself when I do fantasize, whereas before I wouldn't have done that. So I have 3 more points. So in terms of using your friends well, you just need to let them know about your bad habits and your tendencies. They can only be accountable for what they know. We need to tell people what our habits are and how they can be of use to us, because somebody can serve you and help you keep you accountable in a way that's not helpful to you, but you need to let them know, okay, this works for me. And you may also not know that, but I think you actually have to just first accept help from your friends, even if it first isn't in a way that works for you. I think that's how you figure out what does work for you. What way does the accountability need to show up? Is it, I don't know, a text, a message, a call, meeting up? What is helpful to you right now? And it can change as well. Seasons are different, but you have to actually ask for the help first for you to know what works for you. I think it kind of ties in a bit with like love languages, and like, you know, where some would need affirmation, some need quality time, some need a combination of some of them. For me, I can give an example. Since I've started work, I've been having some hard time. I've realized that seeing friends physically has really helped me to, number one, recognize that life is so much bigger than the 4 corners of my office walls, and that life is still big, and that I can still dream big because I have friends that dream big. Being able to just hug them, touch them, laugh with them, giggle, like, that I don't get to do much on a daily basis. Letting them affirm me and remind me of truths, and saying things to me about me that I may not believe in the moment, but they know because they've seen it in me, or the Holy Spirit has told them about this. How to take care of yourself. We're gonna start with sleep, which is what I should be doing right now because it's past midnight and I have makeup on. Biologically, it's actually very, very important for cell repair every night, and it's also very important for you to go through all of the stages of sleep, for you to wake up and have all of those toxins actually released. If you don't allow your body to go through the cycle you regularly feel the weight of past situations on your shoulders. I find it so funny how this biological scientific thing is literally tying in with the Bible. Jesus says, today's troubles are sufficient for today. Don't worry about tomorrow. He's being so serious, like, even on a biological level, like, tomorrow will have its own. Today has its own. Focus on today. Even the verse about new mercies every morning, like, wow. The second thing is what I mentioned before, which is seeing friends. Like, it just reminds you that you are loved, or seeing people that you love reminds you of the purpose of life and of your life as well, because a lot of your friends are also tied to your purpose. So when you do see some of them, you realize like, oh, like, remember that conversation we were having in uni about this ideal I had, even if they're not even in the specific dream that you have for yourself, like, even just the recollection of a memory where you were talking about your dreams together can make you even feel more ambitious. I think it just draws you back to the greatest two commandments, which is that love God and love people. And you realize that this life is genuinely about loving God and loving people when you see the people that you do love, and you do come out of these systems that the world has created for us of the 9 to 5 and eating, sleeping and waking up. Like, you go out and see people and you realize, oh wait, this is what life is for. Some of the most complex life situations, even to do with career and whatnot, are learned through relationships, and it can be translated to the industries that you're in. Like, they're learned through conversations. Get a hobby. I'm the biggest person in terms of saying get a hobby, especially one that releases endorphins and serotonin and all that stuff. Like, sport specifically is such a great hobby. Something that gets your body moving physically, I think, is one of the best things you can do in your adult life. Working outside, especially in summer, it really helped me, especially because in summer or during the time that it was sunny, I was unemployed, so like I was just in my house. But moments I would stand outside, I'd be like, wow, like, this world is big, you know, like, there's actually a sun and there's grass, there's greenery, there's people who have their own lives, just walking about. Wow, this is great, fantastic. And the last thing is to care less. Like, just rid yourself of that savior complex. Not everything can be on your shoulders. It's even prideful for you to think that everything must be solved by you, or that you have to figure out everything for you to become who you need to be. Even the idea that you're the only one that can and will get things done, or that nothing without you will be done. God's sovereignty outweighs a lot more of your life than you think. The last thing I wanted to speak up was grace. Your perception of grace is so important, and I feel like the world has a very warped perception of grace. I believe a strong part of it comes from the culture of working for reward. The world demands so much of us and puts us in competition with everyone. Because this is such a big part of our physical lives, it translates into our spiritual lives if our heart isn't guarded. And it creates this idea that this whole sense of running the race with Christ is competitive rather than steady and slow for all, something that all can achieve. Like, it's something that everybody can get on the track and do, not just like the 5 best in the class that are running to see who will win. So with that said, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, cheeky stretch. Oh, this one felt a bit serious. I wasn't able to be, but I'm also a bit tired, so like I don't really have space for my personalities to kind of just. I'll see you next time.